For those of you that were at the Super Bowl in 2020 owners party, Dory just reminded me to be careful on my way down the steps. I slipped and fell at that time. On behalf of the entire Dolphins organization and our owner, Steve Ross, it's truly an honor to be up here today to talk about our friend, Jason Jenkins, and the organization that Jason gave so much time and energy to. Jason was not just appreciated and respected, Jason was beloved. I'm not usually one to have trouble finding words, but as I thought about writing this speech, I struggled at first. There's so many things to talk about when it comes to Jason. How do I begin? How do I honor someone who did so much and meant so much to so many people? How do I honor my friend who I loved? I stared at a blank piece of paper for a long time, and I thought about it, and the one person I would normally call to talk through these things wasn't available. That was Jason. I would sit there and talk to him and talk through things 6 different ways, and he would sit there and listen because Jason was a great listener. And without saying a word, as I processed through and talked through things, in the end, he would look at me with a response and just say, "See, you already know. You already know what to say." So I talked to him, and he listened, and I realized the answer of what to talk about was simple. It was just that Jason was an inspiration to all of us, and an inspiration for all of us. I think you've heard that today from everybody who's had an opportunity to speak. To provide some context, I first met Jason shortly after I arrived here at the Dolphins in 2013. It wasn't long after that I realized that he was the best strategic communications person I'd ever been around. It wasn't long after that we spent more time together and quickly became friends. We spent hours talking about a lot of different topics. We loved a lot of the same things. We looked at life in similar ways in a lot of ways. We loved some of the same music and movies and books. And we both loved football. Jason loved the game of football. It's appropriate that we're here on this field in this stadium honoring him. He loved football, and he loved the qualities it taught and fostered: hard work, teamwork, competitiveness, overcoming adversity, leadership. His love of the game was a gift that his father, C.L. Whittington, gave to him at a very early age. C.L. also gave him the gift of being a voracious observationist. Jason noticed everything around him, and he was constantly observing and learning. He was more excited about this upcoming Dolphins season than ever before. And C.L. told me a couple days ago that he had told him, he said, "Dad, I think we finally got it right." He couldn't wait for this year. And when he said that, he was talking about the culture, the team, the organization, a group of people working together. Jason was also tenacious and intellectually curious, gifts he got from his mom, Mary Clay. If he set his mind to something, there was nothing he couldn't do. He was always asking questions, his mind always working, processing, thinking deeply. Jason had tremendous empathy. I've long thought that successful relationships aren't how we traditionally think about them, as how I feel about you or how you feel about me. Rather, successful relationships are more about accepting the responsibility of how someone feels about themselves when they're with you. A concept that's much easier to theorize about than to practice. Jason practiced it. You always felt better about yourself when you were with Jason. He made sure of it. Through his humility, his selflessness, his generosity of spirit, his sense of humor. Jason had an amazing sense of humor, as all of you know. And there's a lot of different stories to tell, but at the end of games, inevitably, we'd end up on the field with a minute or two left to play. We shared all the wins and losses together on the field after the end of games. One particular victory we had in 2016 was a big win. It was a come-from-behind win. And as I was celebrating, pumping my fist, all of a sudden, I got this very violent, as hard as you can imagine, smack right into my rear end. And I turned around, and there was Jason with that big smile looking right at me. Of course, I got him back a few weeks later and returned the favor, and it became an ongoing tradition. Jason and I spent a lot of time talking about what was happening in this country. He had an intelligent, objective, and very rational point of view about it. He was dismayed by the growing divisiveness. He had a passion for helping people, and it was clear that his talents needed to be used beyond communications. And he quickly took over responsibilities for community affairs in 2015. We spent a lot of hours talking about building a program to promote and grow the game of football that could become something that 31 other teams might want to emulate. We talked about attempting to build a program to bring together African American youth and law enforcement that could also, hopefully, become a model to follow. I had the opportunity to meet Jim Brown in early 2017 and spent over an hour talking about what was happening in the country. Jim Brown said, "Tom, it's not about black and white. It's about humanity." I couldn't wait to get back and share stories of my conversation with Jason. Jason took this notion of humanity and these ideas we had discussed and made them so much bigger than I could have ever imagined. He championed junior Dolphins, and over 4 years, every high school in 3 counties attended Dolphins practice, not to mention countless middle school teams, girls' flag football teams. He created Football Unites. He created it, and he turned an idea about youth and police into a program that included over 60 organizations that span religions, ethnicities, sexual orientations, all walks of life. As Larry said, he created the Dolphins cultural tours attended by employees and players, not to mention his work that you've heard about, fighting cancer, feeding people, doing anything he could to bring people together and to serve humanity. He became so omnipresent that at one point I had to ask him, I said, "Did they clone you? How is it possible that you're in all these places at one time? How is it even possible?" So back to inspiration. I think the best way to honor Jason and honor a life cut way too short and to try to find something positive in all of this is to use his example and to be inspired to be more like him, more selfless, more tolerant, more humble, more kind, more generous to each other, to smile more, to laugh more. You'll see a video at the conclusion. Let it inspire you. He would want that from us. I believe he's here with us today, smiling, saying, "No, don't be sad, no. Laugh. Take care of each other. Love each other." During his commencement speech at Texas Tech in 2018, he said, "We're all humans, we're all in this together, and we all have a responsibility to make the world a better place." Jason knew that our society is becoming more polarized, more cynical, less tolerant. He knew that we've stopped listening to each other. We've dug in on our positions. We're becoming more divided. We seek confirmation bias, and that concepts like truth and justice are being manipulated today. He didn't complain about it. Jason never complained. He did something about it every day. One of Jason's favorite quotes was from educator Horace Mann, who said, "Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity." Jason won victories for humanity every day. He did it because he wanted to make the world a better place for his children. More than anything in the world, he loved Leah, Aiden, and Sloan, and you, Liz. He not only loved you, he admired you. He talked often about the amazing woman you are and how you consistently astonished him. He wanted to make the world a better place for his family, and he did. So often in our society, success is defined by superficial metrics like celebrity and status and the accumulation of wealth. Let us please take a moment to each reflect on our own lives and to reflect on Jason's life and his example. And instead, define success in life by things like having loving reciprocal relationships, making meaningful contributions to others, the achievement of personal and professional goals, living every day with gratitude, perspective, and a sense of happiness and fulfillment, and earning the respect of everyone around you. By this definition, Jason was truly successful in every way. I'm inspired by my friend Jason Jenkins. I ask you to be inspired by him as well. I'm inspired to try to be more like him, knowing that even when I inevitably fall short, I'll be better for having tried. Thank you.